I use rubrics when I grade my discussions. For the most part, the discussions I will use the same rubric for all of the discussions. When I have a project, I will develop a rubric specific to that project and break it down into small pieces so that they can see before they even start working on the project or participating in the discussion exactly what my expectations are. So I will use that rubric to build a grade, and they can see that, how that has come together. But I also provide some individual feedback for the students then. I have the expectation of an initial post to a discussion board and then at least 1 or 2 replies to students. I don't have a lot of structure to my discussions. I know some faculty will have things where, you know, on Monday you post one thing and on Tuesday you post another. I leave it a little bit more loose. I have certain days of the week by which they need to have the first one up and another day of the week when they have to have done some replies. And I think that's helpful in terms of them organizing themselves as students and not having the feeling that they need to be in there every single day. I also like the small group idea so that they are able to contribute to the big picture of the work of that group, but also think about their own individual contributions, and it helps build their skills as a group member. When I provide a grade, I tend to focus on quality of the contribution. They come to know that if they've said me too or I agree, that's not going to get them much of a grade. I do have a little bit of a focus on quantity, only because if some students have gone in there and posted 3 or 4 times and read things in other groups and just really reached out, to me that feels different than a student who goes in there once a week and posts, you know, 3 sentences. So there is some component of quantity to it. I also look at timeliness of the posts. If they're not participating in a way that's real time, I think that that's a concern. If the discussion has essentially closed already and then they're going in there and posting something, no one else is likely to see that. So I think that that needs to come into that rubric in some sort of a way. Because in the healthcare profession, we use APA format for things. There is a component typically of discussions, not so much that they write super formal or anything like that, but that if they utilize a resource, that they cite that source, and they do so in a in-text citation manner, and then provide a reference at the end of the post. So it perhaps is a little more formal than some other classes would be, but I think it's important to have that big picture, make sure that they understand that this is a professional communication tool and that that becomes part of their grade. I am mindful of group components and making sure that students feel that their contributions are valuable to the group and that they are moving the group forward and not just posting because it's Tuesday, but that they've put some thought into the post and that they have read thoroughly the other posts as part of that group. We have some tools available in our platform that allow us to see how many posts students have read, for instance. And if classmates are reading an average of 50% of the group's posts and one student is reading 1 post, to me that feels different and deserves a different piece of the grade. So it's important to look at those big picture kinds of things as well. I don't do it every week. I don't dwell on it, but I do, if I see that someone is having those rote kind of responses that are really not meaningful, then I will go back and look at, are they getting enough of the big picture by glancing at that percentage of posts read.